Welcome back. Well, I'm here today with Chief Richard Burch, and he recently received a Lifetime Achievement Award from the Virginia Fire Services. So we're here today with him in his office. Welcome to the show.
Welcome, Amy. Thank you for coming over.
Sure. So you've really done a lot. You've seen a lot in your career. Tell us a little bit about it. How did you get started? What inspired you to enter the field of public safety?
Well, I'll go back to really my childhood. My father, of course, my grandfather was in Richmond Fire Department, Richmond Fire Bureau, they called it then. And, of course, my father was a captain in Richmond Fire Bureau, and my uncle. But at a very early age, back in those days, way back when, they had to work every other day. So every other Saturday, my father would be working. And on those Saturdays he was working, that's the day that my mother would take care of her errands, get her hair fixed, and do her shopping and stuff, and let me go to the station and stay for the day. And I just loved it. I was fascinated from that time on. I remember I couldn't do anything, but if they go on a call, I just closed the door, and that was, I was hooked. I was hooked then, and actually when she would come back in the afternoon, 4 or 5 o'clock to pick me up, I'd cry. I didn't want to leave. I just wanted to stay. And it never went away.
Right. And it's truly a family affair because you have such your father, your grandfather,
And my uncle.
and your uncle. So tell me about them. What did they do in their career? I'm sure what your grandfather did, your uncle did, inspired you as well.
Yes, unfortunately I didn't get to know my grandfather. He had passed away before I had a chance to meet him. But just being around them and being around the fire service, that instilled me at age 14. I joined the volunteers. Where we lived was in Roanoke County, just outside of Richmond. And I joined the volunteers. And back in those days, at 14, you could do anything that a senior firefighter could do, but drive, couldn't drive. So I just got involved in the training, and it just, of course, my father supported me and helped me with that. And I just never looked back.
Right.
Never looked back.
It's truly a legacy that you have in your family, and I know you have a lot of things here in your office that represent you and your family and the history, and I know you have a scrapbook with some very old documents in there, some photos about what you've seen in your career, but then even back to your grandfather, right?
Yes, and the technology has changed so much. Back in those days, probably one of the biggest things is they didn't have the breathing apparatus and the type protective clothing we have now. The protective clothing was pretty rough, and back with my grandfather, there was no type of breathing apparatus. And that's why there's been so much cancer and lung diseases in the older fire service. Today we still have that, but it's not like it was because of the better equipment that we have and the safety regulations that we have now that were not in place back then.
Sure. Thinking back over all the years, I know you've been here at Roanoke County about 18 years?
Going on 18 this summer, yes.
Okay. Well, you've seen so much in just the 18 years, but back further than that, what would you say is your biggest accomplishment?
I would hope that it would be working with new and younger firefighters that have come along during that time, and hopefully the enthusiasm, because the fire services, you got to have passion and compassion for what you do. You've got to love it. And I hope that I have set that example for them of what it means, and the integrity and the character, what it means to be a firefighter. And I really hope that would be my greatest accomplishment, that I can see that in the folks that I've hired and that I've worked with.
I'm sure you've made a great impression upon those younger firefighters coming up, and I'm sure you've inspired them to become a fire chief one day too, and spend a lot of time in the fire service. So.
I hope so. I hope I've had a very blessed career. Been in 42 years. I'm 62 years old, and I can tell you right now, I'd do it again tomorrow. And I hope that they have that feeling, because if you only go through life once, and to say that you spend as much time of your life you do working, that you enjoyed it and you had fun.
I understand you've also been involved with many professional fire associations. Tell me about those.
Yes, it's part of my success, I think, has been the people I have been associated with. And very early on, I was fortunate to get involved with the Virginia Fire Chiefs Association and later served as president of that group. That group is part of the Southeastern Division of Fire Chiefs that represents 10 states. And I was fortunate enough to move onto that board and represent Virginia, and then serve as president of the Southeastern Associations. And for the past 8 years, I've served on the Virginia Fire Services Board, which is appointed by the governor.
That's great. Well, congratulations again. I know this is a very big honor for you, but it's also a big honor for Roanoke County as well.
Absolutely.
The fire department is top-notch here in Roanoke County. I think everybody knows that.
Well, thank you.
We're safer. Our community is safer every day because of what you do and because of what the fire department does too.
I would put them up against anybody.
That's great. Thanks so much.
Thank you, Amy.
Okay, we'll be back.